You were waiting to see who was arriving first?
Weren't you the first to arrive?
That's right, I did arrive here first.
I'm assuming that you decided to accept Gargith and my offer to defeat the boss monster together. Is that correct?
No, that's not the case. I just thought that I should give chance to all of you. The thing is, I'll probably win. But if I just went and nabbed him first, I'd feel sorry for you lot who worked so hard to get here.
What the hell do you think you're saying?
He was insulting all of them by saying this.
It seems the monster won't attack you unless you approach it. To be fair, let's go in order of arrival. Desra was the first to arrive.
You want me to fight it alone?
It looks like you are badly injured. If you don't think you can win, feel free to give up.
I'm not going to give up. Why hasn't Gargith arrived yet?
The original plan was to join forces with Gargith to fight the boss monster. However, Gargith seemed to have gotten stuck somewhere, as he showed no signs of arriving anytime soon.
Why aren't you fighting?
I'm only going to fight after you all have had your chances.
Do you really think that you'll get a turn?
Yeah, I think I will.
Don't bullshit me. Do you really believe that I won't be able to defeat a single cow-headed bastard?
If you do defeat it, I'll acknowledge you as my big brother for the rest of my life.
At these words, Cyan hesitated for a moment. He imagined being able to hear this cheeky bastard call him older brother for the rest of his life. The childish Cyan found this proposal extremely attractive.
Don't go back on your words later. If it's a minotaur.
He had read many stories about minotaurs in the books he had been perusing at random for the past few days. It was a monster without any particular weaknesses, but it also didn't have any specific strengths. It didn't have the strong regenerative capabilities of a troll, nor did it have the unspeakable strength and fury of an ogre. The Minotaur, as seen through Cyan's eyes, was a monster that could be beaten without much difficulty. However, Desra got a completely different feeling from it. Calming her shaking heart, she hesitantly made her way out into the central cave. Both her spear and the hands holding it were shaking. Impossible to imagine how she might be able to achieve victory. That said, she couldn't just turn back after having come this far.
Hiya!
Desra shouted a battle cry. Then she tightened her grip on her spear and charged at the Minotaur. His skin is too tough for me to pierce through. The Minotaur caught Desra. Her intuition was honestly telling her that she was about to die. However, the Minotaur simply threw her at... After skidding across the ground, her whole body was aching after having flown so far through the air before falling, and it felt like she had broken her leg.
Why did it just stop at throwing her?
That's because that thing over there isn't a real monster. There's no reason why it has to kill us. Since the moment it gets its hands on us, we've already lost.
The organizers of this ceremony also had no reason to want to truly traumatize the young children. Having watched this situation play out, Cyan got up with a relaxed smile on his face.
I'll prove once for all that the blood of the main family is on a different level to a collateral descendant like yourselves.
Eugene was simply smiling in amusement.
What an arrogant bastard. Does he really think that I can't kill a cow-headed monster?
Cyan began focusing his concentration on his sword. As he did so, the mana circulating through his body began flowing into the sword as well. That was sword ki. Desra knew it was a blade of mana that could cut through anything it touched. To activate the slightest ray of sword ki, you needed to have trained your mana for at least 10 years. Cyan couldn't maintain the sword ki for very long with the amount of mana that he possessed. However, it wouldn't take him very long to slice the cow-headed into pieces.
Huh?
The mana that composed the sword ki had suddenly scattered.
Just what on earth is going on?
To check who is the rightful successor to the Great Vermouth, this trail was made with the concentration that the collateral descendant can't use mana yet. It looks like that cheeky Loberion was the one that sealed mana use only against the final boss.
Why isn't the sword key activating, even though I still have plenty of mana?
If you think you're going to lose, then just come back. Don't pointlessly get your ass beaten.
That irritating voice.
Did you really think I wouldn't defeat that monster without sword key?
The Minotaur swung its hand. Cyan avoided the Minotaur's hand and sliced at the Minotaur. But none of his attacks were truly injuring it.
The leg? I need to hit its leg.
What followed next was also identical to Desra's experience. The Minotaur's large hand wrapped around Cyan and threw him towards the entrance. Fortunately, Cyan was able to control his fall to minimize the damage.
You lost as well.
Cyan couldn't say anything in reply, so he could only bite his lips in shame.
Seal, it's your turn now.
I'm not going to fight since I can't use Sword Key due to Lobarian's magic.
Oh, it looks like she is smarter than her brother.
Can you win?
I am not sure it would be possible for me to lose.
Eugene had yet to train his mana, so the magic negation spell didn't change anything.
How shall I go about defeating it?
The Minotaur's hand swung upwards, but it missed Eugene completely and slapped its own blameless forehead instead.
He is just focusing all his attacks on the carotid artery.
Blood began spurting out violently. Eugene blocked the spray of blood with the shield on his left arm. Eugene lightly leaped off it and landed on the ground, although he had tried to block it with his shield. So much blood had sprayed out that both his hair and face had gotten drenched in it. Eugene roughly wiped off most of the blood.
You saw that, right? I killed it.
If I had been able to use Sword Key, I could have killed the Minotaur.
However, he still wouldn't have been able to accomplish it as easily as Eugene had. The Minotaur's corpse that was lying right next to him, as well as the walls and the ceilings, started to disappear.
The bloodline continuation ceremony was over.
Both Gilead and Levelian were left speechless.
Isn't he amazing? That kid, he's just a collateral descendant who hasn't even trained his mana, but he was able to defeat the Minotaur through sheer overwhelming skill.
The Minotaur is a hard monster to face alone, so that's why this year's bloodline continuation ceremony wouldn't just be about their individual performance, but their abilities to quickly make situational judgments, and their cooperative spirit as well. They could have tried out a few different methods until they finally succeeded, or at least, that was the way they had intended for the Minotaur to be defeated.
Everything in that labyrinth had been created by Levelian, both the traps and the monsters. He hadn't made them too difficult so that they could match the children's levels. But that child named Eugene had broken through the labyrinth with much more ease than Levelian had expected.
That child, just what on earth is he?
His potential is indescribable. I've also sent a man to Jidal, and he reports that Eugene's extreme training is well known throughout the whole estate. That boy was born to be a warrior.
That child has outshone all of your own children, Lord Gilead. If there's already such a difference between them, once that child begins training his mana, no telling how much he will surpass your children.
Isn't that something to celebrate? The more extraordinary that boy is, the more he makes the name of Lionheart shine brightly.
But what if that child reveals any ambitions for becoming the Lionheart Patriarch?
Only the very best among the Lionhearts has the right to become a Lionheart Patriarch. If my children failed to keep the position of Patriarch, that would just mean that they were too weak to keep a hold of their birthright. If that were all the strength that they had to offer, they wouldn't deserve to be the Lionheart Patriarch in the first place.
As an outsider, my apologies for bringing up something that wasn't my place to address. Lord Gilead, as an old acquaintance, I feel that I must advise you, if at all possible, you must adopt that child.
Adoption?
Yes, a collateral descendant has finally overturned the main family in a bloodline continuation ceremony. That alone would make many of the Lionheart's collateral lines look down on the main family. If that happens, some of those dissatisfied with the current system may start to join forces.
I thank you for your advice. I think it's an attractive proposition.
To be honest, the boy was so outstanding that Gilead wished Eugene was his own son. Also, it seemed like being adopted would be better for the child's future as well.
Well, before that, the celebrations have to come first.